Tonight, 6 million Canadians compromised.
It proves that we're vulnerable.
Government has to do a lot more to protect the citizens.
Capital One credit cards, applications dating back years stolen. 1 million Canadian social insurance numbers leaked. Hack after hack. Is there anything you can do to keep your information secure?
How are they evading capture? I don't know.
And frustration in Gillam. The RCMP refocuses the search for 2 suspects back on the small town after a lead dries up. 8 days into a manhunt, what comes next?
Did you witness abuse in long-term care? Yes. Did you report it? No.
CBC News investigates unreported abuse where there should be gentle care. What you need to know when you choose long-term care for a loved one. This is The National. For the third time in less than a year, Canadians are dealing with a major online security breach, and your personal and financial data could be at risk. The numbers are staggering. The target, Capital One Financial, one of North America's biggest banks and credit card issuers. More than 100 million people had their personal information hacked, including 6 million people in this country. The stolen data includes credit scores, limits, and payment history. 1 million Canadians also had their social insurance numbers stolen. It's important to note the breach doesn't just affect those carrying a branded Capital One card. The company offers MasterCard services through Hudson's Bay Company and Costco. This could prove to be one of the biggest data breaches of any financial institution. As Jacqueline Hansen explains, it's a reminder of how vulnerable banks still are to cybercrime.
Credit cards are Capital One's specialty. Now,
I want to cancel my card, but it's just scary.
It proves that we're vulnerable.
names, addresses, birth dates, even some social insurance numbers swiped.
With a social insurance number, it's like up in the air. Anybody could be out there using it.
And not just current cardholders are at risk. Applications for credit cards dating as far back as 2005 were also accessed. The FBI says it arrested the suspected hacker, 33-year-old Paige Thompson. Thompson's housemates shared surveillance footage of the arrest with American media.
More or less, from what we understand, is she did it just because she could.
Thompson, who reportedly goes by the online handle Erratic, boasted about the hack, posting, "I've basically strapped myself with a bomb vest," dropping Capital One's docs and admitting it. Court documents suggest it was a firewall misconfiguration that allegedly let Thompson break in.
It seemed like a fairly unsophisticated hack, the way that this alleged perpetrator put the information out there on the web using her real name.
They know it's
that makes some cybersecurity experts believe her reasons were personal.
I think one of the motives was, of course, she wanted to be known as the person that, accessed this information. She wanted to get the glorification of her expertise.
It's unclear if any of the data has been shared or sold.
We've seen this from other previous breaches, unfortunately. Literally within 48 hours, there's items for sale.
In a statement, Capital One CEO said, "I sincerely apologize for the understandable worry this incident must be causing those affected, and I am committed to making it right." The company says it has since fixed the problem and will provide free credit monitoring to those affected. More information on that will be released over the next few days. But some cardholders want businesses and governments to be more proactive.
I hope it affects their profits, because that's the only way they're going to listen.
Just the latest company and cohort of Canadians to be caught up in a massive data breach and left to worry where their information will end up. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
The Capital One breach is just the latest in a series of troubling, massive hacks affecting Canadians. Just last month, some 2.7 million Desjardins customers, including more than 170,000 businesses, had their personal information stolen. Last summer, Air Canada announced that some 20,000 customers were affected after its mobile app was hacked. Thousands of Canadians were also impacted by the massive hack at the consumer credit reporting giant Equifax in 2017. So what does it mean for you, and what should you do to protect your data? We'll put those questions to a security specialist and a privacy expert later in the program. It's been 8 days since a confirmed sighting or evidence of 2 murder suspects who have led RCMP on a cross-country manhunt. Tonight, the search once again centers on Gillam, Manitoba, a remote town where residents are being warned to remain vigilant. But as Karen Pauls tells us, people there are feeling a growing sense of unease and frustration.
The RCMP's emergency response team and major crime unit left York Landing today to return to Gillam, continuing their search in the vicinity of the last confirmed sighting of Briar Schmigelski and Cam McLeod 1 week ago.
Hope of all hopes that we find them and it's over.
Gillam's mayor had hoped the manhunt was close to a breakthrough in York Landing.
I don't know why it's taken so long to find them. I don't know what they did. How are they evading capture? I don't know.
RCMP have received more than 260 tips in the last week and have searched more than 500 homes. And they're still searching high probability areas for any signs of the suspects by foot and by air. But this afternoon, the RCMP said it was removing check stops on the roads into Gillam. As he picks up supplies for his hotel guests, Joe Sahota says local residents are getting frustrated with the uncertainty.
Nobody's sure what exactly is going on. Are they somewhere near the community or they are outside? How far are they from here?
Sahota also has questions about when police warned Canadians about the 2 men.
Because at least 4 or 5 days when they were last spotted in Saskatchewan store, and they had the videos, but they never played the video on the media at that time. That would have certainly helped to nab them sooner.
Lost days, lost opportunities.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
But Mayor Foreman still has confidence in police.
They're the professionals. They know what they need in place to get the job done. I'm hoping that they stay in the area until they're found.
In brush this dense, it's hard to imagine how the 2 suspects could have gotten very far on foot. But until they're caught, people here remain wary and watchful. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Gillam, Manitoba.
One of the last confirmed sightings of Schmigelski and McLeod was in Split Lake, Manitoba. That's about 2 hours from Gillam, not far from York Landing. A First Nations band constable and his partner stopped the pair early last week when they drove through a checkpoint meant to prevent drugs and alcohol from getting into the community. Albert Saunders described what happened next.
I told him, you know, you're supposed to stop when there's a person standing outside and lights flashing. And all they said was, sorry, that driver was saying that. And the next thing I said was, well, I want to do a quick search. And they said, okay. And then that's when I noticed that they were looking at each other. The passenger was looking at his driver. They seemed paranoid, nervous, scared. The next day, my wife showed me a picture of him on Facebook. As soon as I seen the picture, the one with the mustache or the driver.
So with no sightings for 8 days now, the Gillam check stop canceled, and tips to police coming up cold, where does the RCMP investigation go from here? Steve Marisink has extensive law enforcement experience, including with the RCMP, and he's the founding director of the Elmar Group. He joins us from Edmonton. So Steve, drawing on your policing experience, 8 days since there's been any trace of these suspects, what do you make of that?
Well, it brings to mind several options, Ian. The most apparent one would be that they've somehow managed to get out of the area. I found it odd that they destroyed a vehicle without having a replacement vehicle there for it. Another option is that they found shelter somewhere and they've, quote, gone to ground. That, again, is rather unlikely given the police presence in the door-to-door. Another option is that they may have felt overwhelmed and made some decisions that only they can make.
And so when you look at even those 3 possibilities, and of course I'm sure there are other possibilities as well, you know, you were at the RCMP for a long time. How do you think the Mounties are conducting their investigation from this point onward?
Well, they're doing what they need to do. They're keeping it in the forefront of the public. They're asking for their assistance, and the community are the best eyes and ears of the police. And I am sure that even while we're talking, there are a lot of tips coming in, and they're going to have to go through them and determine which ones are credible and which ones need follow-up. And what looks to be a more likely option. And this would include Northern Ontario, the United States, back into Saskatchewan and Alberta.
Yeah, that's a wide area, but the police have actually said that they could be, those two suspects could be anywhere. Steve, thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you, Ian.
To that point today, when police said they'd received over 260 tips, they also added today that none of them put Schmigelski and McLeod outside the Gillam area, and said once again it's possible the pair managed to slip away. A member of one of the Middle East's wealthiest royal dynasties was in court today in London, England, apparently fearing for her life. Princess Haya bint Al Hussein is married to the ruler of Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. As the CBC's Susan Ormiston reports, the case has brought public scrutiny onto an intensely private royal court.
He is the billionaire ruler of the UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. She is his sixth wife and Jordanian royalty, Princess Haya. They are rich, connected, and horsey, winning multiple times at Royal Ascot. But this spring, the Sheikh went alone. Here's why. Princess Haya was in family court today, asking for a non-molestation order and one to prevent her children from being forced into marriage. She's hired the same lawyer as Prince Charles in his divorce from Diana. She fled the Emirates last May, ending up in this mansion near Kensington Palace with her two children, setting in motion a potentially explosive custody battle at the high courts.
The leaked information is coming from both sides. So we have the UAE saying that she was having an affair with her security officer, and then we have her side saying that she actually learned disturbing facts that caused her to feel unsafe and flee the UAE to establish herself in the United Kingdom.
This custody case is re-excavating another battle royale in Sheikh Mohammed's life. One of his older daughters, Princess Latifa, by another wife, tried to escape Dubai last year before being caught and returned. She was complaining of mistreatment and oppression, and her case is now the subject of a UN human rights investigation.
And if you are watching this video, it's not such a good thing. Either I'm dead or I'm in a very, very, very bad situation.
Latifa was returned against her will to the UAE.
Yeah, they put me in prison and they tortured me.
She's been seen in stage photos only once since then. Human Rights Watch is concerned for her safety.
The ruling family of the United Arab Emirates is a quite repressive elite, in the sense that the United Arab Emirates is a police state. It's one of the most oppressive places to be in the Gulf, while at the same time appearing to be an incredibly modern state.
Princess Haya had always maintained that Latifa was loved and cared for within the family in Dubai. But then came her own sudden departure, and so far, she's not publicly explained why. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, London.
Donald Trump has once again gone after a prominent black Democratic leader and that leader's community. His critics say it's the latest in a series of racist attacks. Many are wondering if it's a deliberate strategy ahead of the 2020 election, and if so, will it work? Ellen Morrow takes a look.
Those people are living in hell in Baltimore.
Another day, another attack on Baltimore and its congressman.
As you know, Congressman Cummings has been there for a long time. He's had a very iron hand on it.
President Trump's harsh words about a black majority city and a black lawmaker have fueled fresh and familiar accusations of racism. To that, Trump said,
I am the least racist person there is anywhere in the world.
If Trump actually feels that way, why then leave himself open to being labeled a racist?
It's his style.
This analyst says stirring up anger and fear works for the Trump base.
The point is to keep them excited, to keep them motivated, to make sure they turn out to vote.
But it may put off some who voted for him in 2016.
I think the real problem that President Trump has, depending on what issue and where he goes with it, is with independent voters. He drives the middle away from supporting him, and that's one of the big dangers in going too far.
That hasn't stopped Trump before, suggesting several congresswomen of color, all U.S. citizens, should go back to their own countries, calling some Mexican immigrants rapists or casting other migrants as invaders. But going too far also provides ample room for Democratic attacks.
He's trying to say it's us versus them. That is not reflective of a leader, and certainly not an American leader.
Even some Republicans are, more or less, telling Trump to cool it.
No, I don't like calling areas bad names. Rather than keep punching each other, let's see if we can make Baltimore a better place.
Trump denied there's a larger motivation behind the attacks.
There's zero strategy. All it is I'm pointing out facts.
But if they are about riling up his base, critics say the president is, again, choosing political points over national unity. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Washington.
Now to politics in this country. Liberal MPs have shut down the opposition's bid to launch an investigation into what it calls the government's attempt to muzzle critics. As first reported by the Globe and Mail, 2 former ambassadors to China say they received unusual calls from an official with Global Affairs Canada after they had publicly criticized the government's handling of its troubled China file. 2 Canadians remain detained in China after Canada arrested Huawei CFO Meng Wanzhou at the request of the U.S. The former diplomats say they were asked to run any comments by the department before making them public. They were also told the Prime Minister's office had asked for the calls to be placed. That's the thorny issue that drew MPs back to Parliament Hill on a sunny July day. Salima Shivji takes us through their debate.
At this emergency meeting of the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Liberals and the Conservatives accused each other of playing politics over 2 Canadians detained in China.
That means we put aside political points and trying to make specious arguments for the sake of some gain.
If anyone's playing politics, it's these Liberal members.
The Conservatives say the calls to 2 former ambassadors to China were interference.
This Prime Minister has shown a clear pattern of silencing those who would speak out against him.
The Liberals call it normal consultation.
To ensure that we are not speaking with one voice, but speaking with an informed voice.
While the Prime Minister has denied his office was involved.
I can confirm the PMO did not direct that to happen.
But one former ambassador said during his phone call, the Global Affairs bureaucrat raised the election period as one reason public restraint was important. The Conservatives seized on that.
To call these former diplomats and tell them that it's an election year and tell them that they need to check in with the government on the government's policy, then the very fabric of Canada's democracy is at risk.
When the Liberals use their majority to quash any investigation,
the motion is defeated 5-4.
The Conservative leader was ready to frame what had happened.
It's clear Justin Trudeau has learned absolutely nothing from the SNC-Lavalin corruption scandal. He shut down 3 separate parliamentary investigations to keep the whole truth of the matter from coming out. Fast forward nearly 6 months, and here we are again.
One of the former diplomats who received a call wasn't quite that judgmental.
I never felt that they were trying to muzzle me or that they were threatening me. I think basically it's another example of miscommunication.
A miscommunication that may prove costly, with the opposition welcoming any chance to raise the issue of government interference ahead of the fall election. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
Here's some of the other stories we're following tonight on The National. After more than 3 decades, Toronto police are again asking for help to find a missing person. The picture on the right is what's called an age-enhanced image. They believe that's what Nicole Moran could look like today. She was just 8 years old when she left her apartment in Etobicoke in 1985, 34 years ago, and was never seen again. Investigators hope this new image might produce a fresh lead.
Today, I call on Council to seize this opportunity and accept the vision presented before us today, because the decision you make today will be the foundation for tomorrow.
Calgary City Council has approved a controversial deal on a new arena for the Calgary Flames. Despite divided polling in the city, council voted to split the cost of a $550 million event center with the NHL franchise. It will replace the aging Saddle Dome. The Flames will remain a tenant for at least 35 years. Construction is expected to start in 2021. We have more to tell you tonight about that fire in Prince Edward Island that destroyed part of a hotel on Sunday. 100 firefighters from different parts of the island joined in the battle. Today, the fire marshal said it all started in a flower bed covered in mulch, but that's not why we're showing you this tonight. Turns out that fire was the backdrop to an incredible story of courage and sacrifice. As Stephanie Van Kampen tells us, it all began with a twist of fate.
Peter Slip was in PEI for a soccer tournament with his kids Sunday. They wanted to go to the beach. Instead, the GPS took them to the nearby North Winds Inn. This is what they saw.
Drove down further to investigate and kind of realized it was an actual kind of a starting of a fire on the front veranda porch.
Slip started knocking on doors. He's the man seen here on the second floor in the photograph. Inside the last one he checked, an elderly couple. The woman escaped down the stairs. Slip waited for the man.
I said, we have to go, and quickly down this way. It was our only way out.
In seconds, fire blocked the way he had come up.
It was almost like a tornado coming up through the stairs. So it got a lot worse really quickly. And we were already started, so I just said, go, 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 and we made it down.
Just as flames consumed the entire building. It all happened within minutes. His wife and kids watching from the car.
It was definitely a shock. We'll probably remember it for a while.
Slip has second-degree burns on his face, arm, and leg. He requires daily hospital visits to get his bandages changed to ward off infection. At last official check, the man he rescued is in hospital.
We were just kind of meant to be there at that time, and things just played out for us to take the wrong turn, and I was put there to be put in a position to help somebody.
He's since gained a new perspective.
Live every day.
Stephanie Van Kampen, CBC News, Charlottetown.
And still ahead on The National, more on the Capital One data breach, what you need to know to better protect yourself. And later in our moment, a family reunion of sorts.
One of my colleagues sent me a picture and said, "Oh my God, is this your snake?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." Yes, that's my snake.
Yes, it is how Monty the Python found his way back home.
Over the past 12 months, we have 3 major breaches in Canada alone. I think everybody are getting very tired of consistently losing their information.
More now on our top story tonight, the massive security breach at Capital One Financial. A hacker with the online handle Erratic is now in police custody after she accessed the personal information of more than 100 million people, 6 million of them Canadian. This is just the latest in a series of troubling data breaches. In 2017, about 150 million Equifax customers had their credit card and social insurance numbers stolen, including thousands of Canadians. Last summer, 20,000 Air Canada customers were affected when the airline's mobile app was breached. And just last month, 2.7 million Desjardins customers learned their data, including social insurance numbers, had been hacked. So how can Canadians protect themselves from these kinds of hacks, and what can the government and private sector do to try to prevent them in the first place? We're going to take a closer look at that now. Takara Small is a tech columnist, and Paige Backman is the co-chair of the Global Privacy and Data Protection Group at the Toronto law firm Aird and Burles. Now, Paige, the prosecutors in Seattle, as I understand it, are saying they don't believe the hacker here was trying to use this information to create, stolen identities. Does that comfort you?
No, not at all. Her motivation is unclear, but the fact that she was able to get access to the extensive data that she did, and the fact that she did upload it to an environment that could have been accessed is a cause for concern. You know,
and Paige, one of the things I found interesting here is that apparently there was a tip to Capital One that there had been this breach. And then the hacker herself was kind of sloppy with her social media and her identity. If those things hadn't happened, could we be confident that Capital One would have discovered the breach on their own?
I think they may have discovered it eventually, but this certainly expedited it. And one thing that people need to be aware of is that data breaches are often only found out up to 6 months to a year to 2 years after the fact. So it was a couple months, 4 months, approximately 4 months when the data was stolen. We're grateful that the tipster was available and alerted Capital One, or this could have gone on and been far worse.
Takara, in terms of the company itself, in terms of government oversight, do you think there are things here that should have been done that would have protected us, but they weren't done?
Well, I think if we're looking at just in the last couple of months, I mean, Equifax just recently settled a very large lawsuit over a similar breach that took place. And if we're looking at things that should be done on the government side as well as the personal side, I say we need to start looking at these breaches as if it's a public security issue, but also as a health matter. I always say, you know, when you look at when there's food illness or food recalls, it's very apparent, it's everywhere. There's a website you can go to look for what items have been recalled, how sick, where you should go, what you should do. I think we need to address when we see public breaches like this with the same type of security and fear as we do other things. And when it comes to personal, I think definitely people will have to be a lot more, I guess, in depth with their credit card history and ensure and, you know, sign up for different online sites to make sure that their information isn't being used to apply for credit cards, being stolen for purchases, et cetera. I mean, the list goes on. That's why it's so incredibly scary.
You know, sometimes these data breaches to me sound kind of like a story that's affecting somebody else. It seems distant, but again, here, if it's 1 million Canadian social insurance numbers, there is no question that there are people watching right now, and they may not even know it, whose information has been compromised. So,
yes.
So Paige, Takara touched on it, but give us some, you know, some things that Canadians should be doing tonight or tomorrow to deal with this.
Well, first of all, understand if you've got a Capital One account, Capital One will be reaching out or says that they're going to be reaching out in short order. I think they have a lot of information they need to get before they do that. But just step back for a moment and understand that this could happen to whether it's Capital One or any other bank, financial institution. Understand where you're banking, who has your information. Get in touch with them if you feel uncomfortable with how information's handled, and understand how they either mitigate a breach scenario or prevent it and then mitigate it after the fact.
I mean, it's so interesting that Paige mentioned that. There's one security measure that I always like to share, and after these types of breaches, we often see criminals take advantage of that in order to contact potential victims, to ask for personal information, or to ask them to send along any information to help claim, you know, recoup potential money. And so I would always say to people who have been affected, this is the time you should be the most vigilant as well. Yes, your information was stolen, but there are individuals who may use that as an opportunity to steal that much more.
That's really good advice. One last thing to each of you. I had my information stolen, and basically the police said to me, what you should do is sign up with Equifax and TransUnion, which cost a lot, you know, really to have them checking your credit each week or each month and sending you alerts. Takara, you don't do that.
No, I don't.
Why
not? So I do think those are really great. Great course of action. I think that's what people should do. I did do that previously, and right now I'm working towards just being a little bit more observant of my credit statements and what I'm working on and where I share my personal data, because as Paige mentioned, this is just par of the course. You should just assume that any personal information you're sharing with a company or a third party could be accessed at this point in time. And as we've seen with Equifax, there's no guarantee that they'll be able to prevent that.
That's true. Half a minute, Paige. Did I take the right advice from the police and sign up for those, or should I have done something else?
Well, I think absolutely sign up for those. Monitor your credit, monitor your bank statements, monitor transactions with your financial institutions. But also, people need to really understand what information they're sharing. And this is not an if a breach will happen, it's when a breach will happen. So people need to be a little bit more cautious about what information is being provided. And and feel more comfortable reaching out to the various companies. They provide information to understand their policies and practices, and feel comfortable saying, but I'm not comfortable with that. Tell me why you need it. And then if they can't tell you why they need it, say no.
Hey, you've made me vigilant without making me afraid. That's a good thing. Paige and Takara, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Next on The National, navigating the long-term care system. Adrian brings us a story of one family's fight to educate others.
You'd done your homework, you picked a place that had good reviews.
Very good reviews, yep.
You think about how often you visited.
Yeah, and something still happened.
A lot of people said, oh, it's over. It's not over. It'll never be over for me because my father was murdered.
How did an Ontario nurse manage to kill 8 elderly patients in long-term care homes? An inquiry report expected tomorrow should shed new light on that. The case of Elizabeth Wetlaufer generates strong emotion, in part because families put so much trust in these homes. The decision to place a relative there can be fraught with apprehension. It's not something you want to get wrong. But our investigation has revealed violence against patients that goes unreported. How can you judge a safety record when that record may not be complete? Adrian asked that question and found some disturbing answers.
I see a totally strong woman here in this picture.
She was.
Any favorites?
Oh, where's the one with her hugging her grandchildren?
This one right here.
Yep, she loved her grandchildren.
For the mother who went to the ends of the earth for her kids, they thought they were doing the same for her.
Tell me what you think of it.
He's good.
He's good, eh?
He's good looking, yes.
Oh,
So when the time came for Gladys Schmiller, wrestling with dementia, to move into a long-term care facility,
Very nice, Glad. That was very important.
her daughter Joy did her homework, examined inspection reports for facilities, visited them, used a checklist, and when she chose Allendale and Milton and saw her mom almost every day, she made sure to get to know the staff.
They truly became part of my family. I baked, took cookies in, go in on the weekend, like they were family.
From the best of efforts came the worst of outcomes. Schmiller was hit one day in June of 2018 by a personal support worker. The assault took a toll. She had medical problems afterwards, and within a few months, she died. It was a 61-year-old personal support worker who abused Schmiller, a woman who'd been a family favorite.
I trusted her. We trusted her. I would go in and she'd tell me what she'd done. She was the one that would tell me, like, if my mom needed clothing or whatever. She'd joke. She had a fabulous sense of humor. We knew, you know, she'd talk about her family. She knew me.
And she knew your mom?
Oh, she knew my mom.
The support worker was eventually charged, pleaded guilty to assault, and was given a conditional discharge. But the fault and failures weren't hers alone.
There needed to be 2 people there to help her to get ready for bed.
She was assaulted in full view of,
Yes.
of yet another person.
Yes, and she reported it to a supervisor who didn't carry it forward.
The employee who witnessed the assault reported it. When that complaint went nowhere, she went above the head of her boss. The police were called, and they charged the personal support worker. But the rules are clearer than that. Reports of abuse cannot be ignored, and yet it happens.
Hi, Miranda.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Miranda Ferrier is the head of the association that represents several thousand personal support workers in Ontario.
We can't put enough feet on the street or bodies in long-term care.
It's a voluntary association she runs mainly from home, where she meets with people in the long-term care industry.
What I like, but it holds them accountable.
The association recently commissioned a survey to ask, in part, what happens when workers report abuse?
The numbers were astounding. You know, did you witness abuse in long-term care? Yes. Did you report it? No. Why didn't you report it? Because they're not going to believe me, or I'm going to get in trouble for reporting.
You can't have somebody sitting there watching.
When incidents are reported, inevitably, there's an investigation by the ministry. CBC examined the investigation reports at Allendale and found one in which workers spoke of other incidents of abuse that had not been acted upon. Then, looking at all the data from all the long-term care homes in Ontario, CBC learned 15% of them have been caught not reporting abusive incidents to the ministry, and some repeatedly.
What does that number say to you?
That it's a lot lower than where it should be. Not reporting in long-term care is an issue.
It's all too common that
As for personal support workers, how are you supposed to know the reputation or credentials of the worker who's with your loved one?
If PSWs were to be regulated, there would be an avenue to pull their certification, to discipline them, to help them if they require the help, and to give the public that ease of mind.
Do other provinces do it better?
There is no other province that does it.
And yet, these are the people with the toughest, most delicate of jobs dealing with those at their most vulnerable.
Okay, say bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye for now.
Gladys Schmiller in those last days was especially vulnerable, needed both kindness and care.
She made the best out of everything, and everyone was attracted to her because she...
Possibly, regulation, better pay, better inspections may make a difference for someone else's fragile family member. That, for Joy Wilcox, would at least be a relief knowing change was coming.
You'd done your homework, you picked a place that had good reviews.
Very good reviews, yep.
You think about how often you visited.
Yeah, and something still happened, which I just think, what about those poor people that don't have anyone? I worry about them.
Wilcox sued Halton Region, which operates Allendale, and they settled. Halton Region says the investigation into Schmiller's case found reporting of the incident was delayed and appropriate measures, including actions against those who failed to report, have been taken to ensure that this does not reoccur.
And also, if there's someone in a room that's calling for help, do the staff go and assist them, or do they...
Wilcox is now offering to help any and all friends try to navigate the world of long-term care.
I think that's important. How much do they encourage participation in the activities?
Her daughter is now well-versed in all the homework and hard work of researching a residence.
Great light and lots of windows and a little bit more space. And
it's all she can do now that the worst for her has already happened. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News, Milton, Ontario.
Still ahead on the National, with water levels in the Great Lakes reaching new highs, we continue our climate series and look at the impact on local businesses.
People's homes are being destroyed, shorelines are being destroyed, businesses are being impacted.
You know, a small business owner isn't going to survive that. You know, 2 years of having to rebuild is pretty tough.
I'm Jamie Poisson. Tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast Frontburner, the story of Canada's endangered southern resident killer whales and their impact on politics and the environment. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Tonight was the latest round of debates for Democratic presidential hopefuls in the U.S. One of the big topics discussed was health care.
It will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
But you don't know.
Second of all.
You don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all.
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill.
A lot of attention tonight on Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, two of the most high-profile candidates. 10 more take the stage tomorrow night. Violence erupted on the streets of Hong Kong once again after authorities handed down rioting charges to 44 protesters. Several hundred surrounded a police station following the announcement demanding those arrested be freed. Tensions flared, though, after riot police exited the station, attempting to disperse the crowd by spraying pepper spray and at one point even waving a large gun towards demonstrators. Tonight, we return to our ongoing climate change series, In Our Backyard, with a story about rising water levels and businesses at risk of going under in more ways than one. Waterfronts along the Great Lakes are a big draw for customers, but for some business owners, the water has become a burden. They're still recovering from flooding 2 years ago and facing new record-high lake levels this summer. Now, as Diane Buckner shows us, they're demanding action.
It's showtime at the Thousand Islands Playhouse. It bills itself as Canada's only dockside theatre. But this year, there's a problem. The docks are mostly underwater.
They are going to need to be replaced or at least have some major upgrades. We're looking at probably $100,000.
No more dockside cocktails at intermission. Everyone has to crowd onto the covered deck.
Long term, I think it really impacts how people experience what we do here.
I had never seen anything like this, and then this year it's worse than 17.
Just up the river at a nearby marina, owner Wendy Merkley says the pump and power source she offers customers are underwater. It's hurting business for the second time in 3 years.
You know, a small business owner isn't going to survive that. 2 years of having to rebuild is pretty tough.
High water is an issue all around the Great Lakes this summer, and some are blaming the Canada-U.S. group that manages all bodies of water along the border. The International Joint Commission's Plan 2014 allows for slightly higher water levels, saying the plan will restore wetlands and prepare for climate change.
It's a bit funny that as soon as this plan was implemented, the water started staying higher for longer. It's really warm right now. It's like 23 degrees Celsius.
At Toronto Island, flooding means this entrepreneur is seeing fewer customers. He's not sure who or what is to blame, but sees the damage.
People's homes are being destroyed, shorelines are being destroyed, businesses are being impacted.
This is the only way for the water on Lake Ontario to go down to the ocean.
In Montreal, the Canadian co-chair of the IJC says, don't blame Plan 2014.
It's not the plan, it's nature. It's an act of God, all that rain and all that snow that happened over a period of 3 years. There is nothing that can be done about that.
Well, the group that controls Lake Ontario's water level is now facing new pressure about their plan.
But south of the border, there's talk of legal action.
Something is very wrong, and you can't sit back and say we can't do anything. That is not acceptable.
In Canada, some municipalities have passed resolutions to have Plan 2014 revoked.
If it is a human error, if it's a human issue, it makes me very upset. I think it's something that needs to be addressed.
Meantime, waterside small businesses will just have to keep trying to stay afloat. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Gananoque.
Up next on The National, a happy ending to a search for a missing pet.
I'm very thankful to the people who found him, who didn't harm him. Hopefully, though, he hasn't eaten any live rats since we only feed him frozen ones.
Nice thought. That is Monty the Python. His journey home is tonight's moment. But first, in case you missed it, there are fires in the Arctic, and scientists say there's reason to worry.
It's not completely uncommon to see fires in the Arctic Circle in the summer, but to see so many for so many days, I think is really unusual.
Unusual, certainly. The United Nations calls this year unprecedented. Here's a snapshot of July, and those dots are wildfires intense enough to be picked up by satellite.
So in the Arctic Circle, current daily hotspots are about 250 to 300, and this is compared to an average based on the 16 previous years of data that we have of about 50 or 60.
The first of these hotspots popped up in Siberia in June as the Arctic Circle was experiencing its hottest June ever. Alaska's having a bad year too. As many as 400 fires have been reported. Canada, so far, is average, but the impact, like the spread of the smoke and haze, is global.
We often see the transport of smoke from fires in the Canadian forests right across the Atlantic, where it can be detected in Europe as well. So this is, there are really large-scale impacts that can affect a lot of people.
Scientists estimate the Arctic fires released 50 megatons of carbon dioxide in June alone. That's about how much the entire country of Sweden releases in a year. And now for something completely different. Meet Monty the Python, a 4-foot-long snake, and for the past month and a half, Monty was missing in the streets and maybe under the streets of Toronto. But last night he was found, spotted poking out of a sewer grate near a gas station. A passerby noticed Monty, called the police, who safely handed him over to Animal Services. And this evening, pet and owner were reunited, and that, of course, is tonight's moment.
Monty, you're gonna go home soon. He looks like he's got a little bit of damage on his skin, probably from a rough ride. So it was the night of the Raptors game. That was the last night my son saw him. He noticed that the aquarium was open. And then I noticed a couple of days later when I was downstairs with an electrician and looked in his cage and was like, oh my God, where's Monty? And then we went on a frantic search for him. One of my colleagues sent me a picture and said, oh my God, is this your snake? And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, yes, that's my snake. Yeah, I'm very thankful to the people who found him, who didn't harm him. Hopefully, though, he hasn't eaten any live rats since we only feed him frozen ones, and he won't refuse to eat. Looks like he's a bit dirty, and so we'll give him a bath tonight. Yes, I'm glad to know he's okay. We were really worried.
See, I'm fascinated by this story, and I'm also fascinated by anybody who, when they get their lost pet back, has to worry that maybe their pet ate live rats while the pet was lost, because that'll make it more challenging to feed the pet when it's back. Also really good, we understand that the people who found the python thought it was absolutely beautiful, and so was a good experience for them as well. That is The National for July the 30th. Good night.